Hello, boys and girls. It's that time again. Welcome back to another week of Blackout Racing on F123. That's right, we're back for another week filled with fun and glorious fun. His analogies write themselves. I'm Karl once again. I'm your host, commentator, and all the rest on top of that. But I am not a driver. That is up to 20 of the finest in the business to mull over in their own spare time. But let's have a look at the calendar while we are here and while we are glossing over the oncoming race weekend, or Monday at least. We're on week 4, 23rd of October, obviously, if you can't read, and we are in Texas. It's our first sprint weekend of the entire season. We have 3 here. Keep it short and sweet. Keep it a rare eventuality, so that everybody here can enjoy the sprints without it getting too oversaturated. Take notes, FIA. We're off to Texas, and then for the second race, we are in Imola for this weekend. What can we expect? Well, probably chaos in the case of the sprint, but of course the sprints in Blackout, as we all know, are reverse grid. Or if you don't know, welcome, hi. You're in Blackout Racing, and in the sprints, we reverse the championship order. So whoever's lower in the standings starts at the front. Whoever's top of the standings, obviously, gets a big old kick in the ball sack down to the back of the grid. But if you're a reserve, unfortunately, it's even more of a kick in the word I can't say because I'm a professional. Because you have to start from the back anyway, so it doesn't even matter. But while we are here looking at that, this drop is filthy, by the way. What a non-copyright song I've tried. I bet this isn't copyrighted now and it's all muted. I'm going to keep speaking over it so I don't have that chance happen to me. But we'll have a look at the wide championship standings. And it's dramatic, ladies and gentlemen. Thanassi's leading. He's actually leading by quite a lot. But it's everywhere else where things get a bit saucy. I'm actually going to bring this down a tiny bit because I can't even read it. It's that wide. Thanassi leads. He's on 140 points. Terziak's on 88. The gap already 52 points, which is ridiculous. Then Buck 57, after a strong race, once again in Miami last time out, is in third place with 84 points. Milo in fourth with 74. Stark with a win to his name, though, now with 63. We then have Slam with 54 points. Avalanche with 41, and then you can see the rest of them for yourselves as you go down. A bunch of drivers still yet to be confirmed in joint 24th. I hope they find their identity very soon indeed. In the constructors, though, AlphaTauri lead by almost is actually double the points of McLaren. It's quite raucous actually how much they're leading by, but we'll gloss over that for a little bit. The Papaya Pros have to have their work cut out, to be honest with you, and have to raise their game because clearly they're not pro enough. Yeah, I said it. Only half the points of AlphaTauri. It's disgraceful, but I'm sure they will do the business in the coming weeks. Alpine in third and right on the tail of McLaren. They'll be filing a restraining order because of how close they are, but I'll leave that to them to decide. It's Aston Martin in fourth. Stark, of course, won last time out in Miami in the wet conditions. Realistically, who can stop him? Who can stop him? He just seems to find his way out to the front and is always that consistent man, so fair play to him. Williams in 5th, Mercedes in 6th. The constructors' winners last season down in 6th. It breaks my damn heart. Red Bull in 7th, Alfa Romeo in 8th, Ferrari in 9th, and Haas, where they have been in real life as well, to be honest, 10th. They should be in 10th in real life because how they can somehow be worse than at the beginning of the season is quite frankly beyond me. So there you go then. That concludes the championship standings. I'm going to put it back onto standby once again because soon enough we'll be well on our way for some Blackout racing. It will surely get underway in a few minutes, so don't adjust your sets as we head off to Texas. Well, it's almost time. Oh, never mind, it's not almost time. Well, I'll just leave then. I won't leave, actually. While we're on this screen, let's mull through the drivers that we will see. Leading the front lines is the way I'll put it. I was going to say a different phrase, but it felt wrong too. Millo's in the McLaren. Is there anyone else in the McLaren? No, it is just him today. Wow, Buck 20 still not there to hold the line. And that feels... That's quite sad, actually, really, if you think about it. But we have J Lane in the Ferrari, Maximus in the Ferrari. You can see everyone in front of you. I haven't got time to say it. But the point is, most of the normal suspects are here, with a few exceptions, because they are away or other things besides. So there you go. Well, we're almost ready for the sprint race. It's a pleasure to welcome back Mr. Magico. Couldn't make it last week, but sent some very nice messages of encouragement, so thank you, good sir. I hope you have nothing but the best races possible for today. I obviously wish that for every driver, just to be quite clear, but especially Magico. I'm not biased. So, here we are at Texas, and of course, no qualifying. We are straight into a sprint sensation. Turn 1, of course, great overtaking spot on the first lap. Great way to get your elbows out. If you get your elbows out too much, you damage your funny bone, and that's not funny. But, more importantly, there can be accidents. There can be big crashes. And it's raining. It is raining in Texas, so it's another spin of the roulette wheel that the other drivers will have to face today then. So that's a bit saucy. Or should I say a bit moist? I wish I hadn't said that now. I might actually stop streaming, to be honest with you. But we plough on like a combine harvester. Or rather, we don't, because this has actually ruined the crops, so let's not do that. But, sprint race, like I said, turn 1's going to be a bit of a zone. If the sprint race is anything like it was in Britain, it means we're going to see Vulcan win it. And I'd be all up for that, personally, so you never know. It could well be possible. I don't think, again... Oh, no, he's actually in the Haas. I was going to say he's not in the Alpine, but, we will see. We will see what happens. You never know. The sprint could throw up a surprise result. But, stay tuned. I should use a different, like... connectives. That's not the connective, is it? Well, aside from that aside, moreover, although, etc., etc., English was not my greatest subject, to be honest with you. Still a good subject, but it wasn't great. Anywho, here we are. Sprint race aside. Let's not have any more waffle. 5 red lights. Lights out and away we go. Felt like an age before they went out, but we are off and away. Giraffe leads the field, but you can see all kinds of things. Oh no, Dan Gilligan straight away into a spin. Contact between himself and another car. I didn't have time to figure it out. Turn 1, there's all kinds of chaos happening. But Giraffe does retain the lead, but for how long? A bit of a slide out of turn number 1 as things get a bit damp. But hopefully it won't dampen the spirits of the drivers as they head through the Maggots and Beckett's rip-off. King Didi up into P5, Thanassi up into P13 already. Like I said, watch out for him and a bunch of others there making their way through the field. No, Thanassi's had a problem. Thanassi's had a problem, tried to make a move. He's down in plumb last. The championship leader down in the gallows and with egg on his face. But he's not been made the practical yoker just yet as Giraffe goes so wide through there. J-Lane's here, though, to pick up the spoils through the middle of Vulcan and Giraffe. 3 wide, putting his neck in more so than Giraffe, which feels wrong. But it feels so right for the prancing horse, although a bit of defensive work to chop off the line of Giraffe. But no, here comes the Mercedes man. A very ambitious dive, in fact probably too ambitious to be honest with you, sends Vulcan spearing off into Narnia, and it means Magico, the main man, is up into P2 now in the Red Bull. Fantastic stuff, and he's looking very punchy straight away. The inside was almost crying out for an overtake there, and it is if your name's Dirkleton. Wilco putting on the slammers. Well, he's not called Slam, but Magico could be going for the move. Down the inside of the right-hander, but nothing doing there. The grip and the momentum on the outside just superior for the moment. Maybe the last corner, but has to remain civilized for the moment as Buck 57 has a pirouetting issue. It's a solid 10 out of 10 from the Strictly judges, but nothing more than that. Meanwhile, King Didi losing a couple of places there. Got it all crossed up. It's J-Lane, though, that's on the move. Down the inside, the prancing horse started out tranquilized. Now has a spring in its step. Gallops its way up into P2. Another yellow flag, meanwhile. As we see Slam coming into the pits with a new front wing. Voldemort will greet him, but his team certainly won't with open arms. Stark up into P7. Big Sam getting displaced now down to P9. Now P10. As we see Maximus go further off towards, well, Miami than Texas. But Giraffe leads. But for how much longer? Look how close J-Lane is. Right underneath the diffuser. He's like a rabid dog sniffing underneath the back of that Mercedes car. Could make a rather ambitious dive into the left-hander, should he so wish. Nothing doing for the moment, though. But look at this. A bit wide again from Giraffe's bogey corner. And side by side down the straight we go. Who dares to use more battery? Who dares to blink first? We'll find out as we head down towards the left-hander. Late on the brakes as you dare. Slam on the anchors. But it's actually Giraffe that gets through. No! Bit too wide at the apex. And J-Lane surely has it. But no, Giraffe's still there. And he's going to put J-Lane into a spin. No! And Magico's hit into him. And there's a concertina effect behind. Dear, oh dear. It wasn't actually Magico that lost the front wing, please. It was Vulcan that lost it, as he's now being displaced by Stark in the Aston Martin. Trying to look for a move. On board with the Aston Martin man. Maximus is on his right. Well, it was briefly to the inside. Now, I have no idea what's going on. It's going on faster than I can think. And unfortunately for Dirkleton, it happened faster than he could think, and he's well and truly been slammed into Narnia. But anyway, Stark then, right on the back of Raiden. Or not right on the back, because he's actually quite a way away, but still, there is plenty of opportunity for a pass here. And Thanassi, who was last on lap number 1, is now P7 in this race. So feel free to be scared if you are positions 6 or above. King Didi could be the first victim. of a Thanassi rampage through the field. The Alpha Tauri, part of the Red Bull family, certain to sharpen its horns and is looking to charge through the Magnussen-Beckett's rip-off complex. And look at that for a camera shot. But Terziak, there you go, second in the championship. He's not far off either. Seems to love the wet conditions. I'll tell you someone else who does, is that man in P9. Dan Gilligan in the Aston Martin has always qualified well in the wet. Didn't have it go his own way on lap number 1. Was forced into a spin. Could well have been contact with Slam, to be honest with you. I can't confirm that for certain, but when push comes to shove, Slam had to shove himself into the pit lane. Someone who's shoving himself up the field, though. Stark, pedal to the metal stuff. Has plenty of iron to boot and is through into P3, but 3 wide into the next corner. Please keep it together, folks. The answer is Maximus now takes P3. Raiden misses the apex, and now it's the Ferrari up into the podium places in sprint terms. Stark, though, still on the move. Maximus goes a bit wide. Potential for a switch into the left-hander. He goes for it. Sumptuous move from Stark. Lovely stuff. You could hang that up in the Tate Modern and people wouldn't even bat an eyelid. Unbelievable stuff. Stark firmly puts himself up into the podium places. Meanwhile, the battle once again between Red Bull and Mercedes rampages on. Magico versus Giraffe. Slipstream for the Red Bull. Of course, no DRS because it's wet. I mean, if you can't see it, replace your guide dog. Magico, though, down to turn 1. It's Miller, actually, with the fastest lap. Currently down in P10. It's J-Lane that then subsequently snatches that away. Thanassi, though, down into turn 1. Late on the brakes as you dare. And Raiden, really, just got out of the way for him because Thanassi didn't leave him room on the outside. So could well have gone for the switchback. But hindsight is 2020. Actually, no, it's not. No, it's not. Hindsight is not 2020. 2020 was awful. Stark, though, is wasting no time at all. Catching up to these two. What was quite a sizable gap now turns into a couple of tenths of a second in a span of a few corners. And Stark could well go for the move into the hairpin, but chooses not to do so. It's a safety car. What on earth's gone on there? The answer is Raiden has no nose. Oh, nose. Well, I'm not sure what on earth happened there. Well, it can only be contact. The evidence is right in front of you for all to see. But at the end of the day, it's no consolation how I think it would have happened for Raiden. The only place he'll be Raiden today is the pit box. So then, safety car in the sprint. I can't imagine it will last for very long. At least I hope it doesn't. Because otherwise, it's going to be... Actually, maybe it does last quite long, and then it's a one-lap sprint. You know what? Last a long time, and then everyone will probably take each other out, and maybe even Vulcan will win again. Never say never. For now, though, here's your running order. Giraffe, P1, and his plank isn't worn out, so he's okay. Magico, P2, Stark up to P3 with a rampaging comeback through the field. Simply sublime. Maximus P4 for Ferrari. Thanassi up to P5. King DD 6th. Terziak 7th. Dan Gilligan now up to 8th. Milo 9th. Big Sam completes your top 10. And then it's J-Lane, Raiden, Vulcan, Dirkleton, Slam, Buck 57 and Captain Wilco, whose ship has had one of its sails burned down because he's in plumb last position. Well, Texas was pain for people this year, I can't lie. Pain for me, especially. I enjoyed seeing Hamilton rampage his way almost to a victory, had it not been for, 1, a small mistake he made, 2, for Mercedes being Mercedes and making mistakes at the pit stops, and 3, leaving him out too long on the first set of medium tyres. If he'd gone in slightly earlier, he would have had more than half a chance of winning that day. But then hindsight is 2020, he may well have still been disqualified. You just don't know, to be honest with you. And if you're a Charles Leclerc fan, well, the pain continues, quite frankly. And I feel sorry for you. But, Texas, aside from that, the place of Kimi Raikkonen's last win in Formula 1 in 2018. In 2017, it was Hamilton that took the win. Vettel took the lead early on. But it was the win that Lewis needed in order to get on his way to his 4th Drivers' Championship. The first of 4 in a row. Should have been 5, but we'll ignore that. Blame the FIA for everything. That's my rule. However, it was the first US Grand Prix. The first US Grand Prix since 2007 at Indianapolis, where this glorious venue was built. The land was moved around it in order to create all of the undulations, the ups and downs, the roller coaster ride of the Texas Grand Prix circuit. Safety car is in this lap, meanwhile, so you don't have to hear me natter on a history lesson for at least a little while. But what I will tell you is that it was Sir Lewis Hamilton that took the first ever win at the Circuit of the Americas. We're set to do it this year. Could well do it next year. You just never know what will happen in Formula 1. That's the beauty of the sport. So, Giraffe now controls the pace of the field. We'll ride on board with Magico, who's waiting quite far back, to be honest with you. I thought he'd be right underneath the diffuser of the Silver Arrow. But the Red Bull biding its time, keeping its head cool. Allowing the prime opportunity to cook, to casserole, which is very difficult because there's too much moisture in the air, but you never know. We'll have to wait and see. Giraffe will pull the trigger, probably out of the last corner. You think he would anyway. The answer is yes, he does, and we are back on the way with racing here in Blackout, and Stark wastes absolutely no time in trying to get past Magico into turn number 1. Round the outside, the overtake is calling its name. He's answered that call, and round the outside, Stark sweeps through. Thanassi, meanwhile, has been barged. Deary me, looked like the Haas of King Didi went in way too hot. Massive contact made, and I'd be certainly shocked if there was no front wing damage on that Haas car. On the front right, it looked like. He came charging in out of nowhere. Thanassi suddenly went astronomically wide. Thanassi gets a time penalty for corner cutting out of nowhere. I'm not entirely sure what happened. Seemed like Terziak was going for the overtake and he just had nowhere to go. But anyway, what are you going to do? Seems like Thanassi actually let back through for a brief moment. Could have been a legal overtake. Hang on, there's a change for the lead here. I have to ignore that for a second. Giraffe does keep it on traction. But for how much longer can the Mercedes man withstand the pressure of the amazing Aston Martin ace? Stark pulls to the outside. And as he's done so many times, waits his time, bides it, calls his charge for a brief moment, considers the switchback, but nothing doing there. Magico, meanwhile, getting shafted down the order. He's plummeting down, but once again, it looks like that inside line could be tasty. Wrong! The outside line's his best friend. Stark tries to run rings around Giraffe, but nothing doing there. He keeps his leg long and raucous, and he keeps P1 for the moment. It's actually Maximus, who does have a time penalty to his name, so it's not all set in stone for the Ferrari driver, but makes a lovely move round the outside, and will, looks like, take P2. Excellent stuff. Stark's not done yet. Looks to feint to the inside and deter Maximus from getting any more progress, but it doesn't happen. It does not happen, but he has calculated it very nicely indeed to the last possible detail, and brave on the brakes. The Aston Martin driver charges down the inside. Momentum tries to happen in Maximus's favour, but at the end, Stark is still there, and round the outside at the next corner he goes. A bit of a slide on the way out for some extra style points, but it is P2 once again for the Aston Martin driver, and Giraffe somehow on the last lap here is still in P1, but can he keep it for that much longer? Because look at the pressure he's having to withstand from the Aston Martin of Stark. And if Stark has figured it out by now, he'll fire his synapses into life and go down the inside of the hairpin. Here he goes. The change for the lead happens, and Stark and the Aston Martin will take the lead of the sprint race. But for how long? Look at this. Giraffe side by side, deploying everything that car has to offer to try and retake it. And now Maximus is here again. Another 3 wide Ferrari moment. Maximus with the squeeze there hardly leaves any room. But Stark, importantly for him, keeps ahead of Giraffe. Remember, Maximus has that 3-second time penalty for corner cutting, for track limits, whatever it may be. Giraffe with a banzai move down the inside. But it won't prove to pay dividends. It's Thanassi and King Didi actually that are fighting tooth and nail. As King Didi is the outside line compared to Thanassi, using the momentum as much as he can. Looks like he'll keep side by side. No, Maximus, no! spins it out in the final corners, and it will be Stark that rounds the final corner in this sprint race. Chaos from start to finish, and he wins the sprint race for Aston Martin. Magico will take P2 for the Red Bull team. Terziak P3. What on earth happened to Thanassi? I have no idea. The answer is penalties and other things besides, but it's only P10 for the championship leader on the grid for the race. Well, there you go then. My goodness me. Stark takes the win in the sprint race. A bit of last lap heroics. A calm and collected and calculated approach from the Aston Martin driver. Ultimately, that is what won him a race amongst a sea of hot heads up and down the field. Magico takes P2 in the end. Congratulations to him. Terziak P3. Giraffe takes 4th in the end, with Milo 5th, J-Lane 6th, Dirk 7th, and King Didi 8th, the last of the point scorers. AlphaTauri 9th and 10th. This is, of course, the grid for the race. We then have Slam 11th, Wilco 12th, Raiden, Vulcan, Big Sam, Dan Gilligan, and Maximus complete your line-out. I have no idea what happened to Dan Gilligan, but it was absolutely tragic, whatever the case. So there you are. Sprint is done. And you know what that means. We are here for race day in the US of A. America. What even is a kilometer? That is their top Google search. Check it now. You'll be surprised, you know. We wait with great anticipation for the Texas Grand Prix here in Blackout Season 2. For those of you that have joined the ride, I welcome you along to another fun-filled week of Blackout racing chaos. And if you didn't see the sprint race, well, part of the chaos was just served there. A dish best served very warm and with a bit of zest on top. And boy, did it have all of that in spades. My goodness me. In the end, though, Stark taking the win. He'll start from pole position. Magico P2 for Red Bull. But in contrast to the sprint race, it starts out, at least, as a dry event. So we'll see how the drivers now adapt to those dry conditions after the wet conditions. They'll be feeling pretty confident if they made it through the wet conditions. More confident to push it from the get-go in the dry. Whereas, for instance, if you had that last lap spin, like Maximus, unfortunately, you might end up just not having that same feeling, that same grit and determination, that confidence that you would have built up is not there anymore. But for Stark, it certainly is. 5 red lights. Lights out and away we go here in the US of A, and Magico on those softs trying to find an impetus to get alongside Stark, and he's going to try it here down into turn number 1, down the inside, but pinched into the apex. He won't have anything materialize just yet. Giraffe though makes his way up into P3 on those softs. Loads of drivers on the softs behind Stark, had almost no time at all to figure it out. Thanassi, who started P10, down to P14. What on earth is going on there? But lots of chaos happening there. Wilco making up places, trying to find a way past King Didi. Avenues being carved out left, right and centre. Thanassi with a sumptuous move past Maximus, although still side by side, but the momentum in I was going to say the Mercedes man, the AlphaTauri man's favour. My goodness me. And I'm going to lower my pitch. Oh dear me. What on earth's gone on there? Milo round, Giraffe round, and Wilco round. It's a pirouetting competition that's won by Milo in the end, as he's the first to scamper away. But for now, we have Stark P1, Magico P2. And as I was going to say, I'm going to lower my pitch so you can't hear my voice break. Stark P1, Magico P2, lots of overtakes happening. Thanassi now P9, slamming P6. Magico P2, like I was saying. Terziak 3rd, J-Lane 4th. Big Sam in 5th. Red Bull 2 and 5 right now. They would certainly take that. You know what, let's call the whole thing off now. Thanassi gets past King Didi, and that's very important for him. Might have well been a bit of a slammer jam, a bit of angst between those two at the end of the sprint race, hence why Thanassi ended up finishing behind the Haas driver. We'll never know because I didn't see it. Maximus already has a 3-second time penalty for track limits. Oh dear. Stark, though, leads the way on those mediums. Exactly what he needed. Just keep the lead, keep it calm, keep it collected. And now he can cruise along. Dan Gilligan, meanwhile, down the inside, diving move. Tries to find a switchback, but Maximus is clobbered by Raiden, who gets his right rear, left rear, actually. All up in the twist. Eyes crossed, legs crossed, everything crossed. He is very cross. Let's see what else materializes then. Maximus now behind Vulcan as a result of that. Vulcan found the momentum round the outside as those two were having their own squabble behind him. Now he's well on his way in that Hascar. Terrific stuff. Thanassi, though, not wasting any time whatsoever. Finds the momentum easily past Dirk down the inside. Although we know what the straight line speed of that Williams is like in real life, but the setup on Dirk's car might tell a different story. The answer is Thanassi scampering away with a bit of battery usage to boot. And he's well up into P7. Stark now with a 1.5 second gap. It's actually Buck 57 diving down the inside of King Dede. Neat little move there. The AlphaTauri driver finds his way into P9. 7 and 9 for AlphaTauri. Exactly what they need currently. Started 9th and 10th. Buck 57 remains in his starting position. Thanassi trying to charge round. Stark in a world of his own, though. 2 seconds already. The Aston Martin man has confidence by the wheelbarrow full, and he has a truck ton of them at his disposal. 2 seconds the gap between him and Magico, who has now Terziak joining him for company very soon, although Magico driving very well so far. Thanassi, though, with the fastest lap. You saw it coming from a mile away, and perhaps you could see this overtake coming from a mile away. Late on the brakes. Does he try it? He does try it. Almost scared Slam out of the way, to be honest with you. Slam did leave the space, though. Didn't shut him off completely, but remains ahead as we head into the S section. We ride on board with the AlphaTauri driver as he tries to circumnavigate his way round the Mercedes driver. Dirk, though, right behind him, keeping him very close company. Bit of a wider approach into that right-hander just to try and find a bit more momentum. It's interesting to analyse all the lines the drivers take. Thanassi, though, right on the back of the Mercedes driver, feints to the inside, doesn't send Slam off into Narnia. Although the exit is vastly superior, we know how this is going to go. Up ahead, it's Terziak going for P2, and DRS for Mr. Thanassi. Your championship winner last time out will easily get him past Slam. Up into P6 briefly, though. Slam trying to go round the outside, and I'll tell you what, almost had it, and is still trying to go for it. Down the inside he is now for the right-hander, but the line just too narrow there for the Mercedes driver. Thanassi now finds himself up in P6 in the AlphaTauri. Championship leader on a charge. That sounds like a headline if I've ever heard one. Tell you who else is on the charge. Stark, here he is. Let's calm it down. Lap 3 of 20, almost lap 4 of 20 here. A fifth of the way through the Texas Grand Prix already. And it's this man, the Aston Martin driver, that is controlling things here in COTA. Got the win out in Miami, looking for 2 wins in 2 here in the US of A. Thanassi, though, down the inside once again, and much more composed than previous. He finds himself now up in P5. In real life, of course, that would be double figures. 10 points. 11 points, actually, with fastest lap. But in Blackout, slightly different. 3 extra points for fastest lap. And points are awarded all the way down to 15th place. So Raiden gets a point. Yay! Start controlling things up at the front. Although I'm watching that gap with interest, while Dirk was looking at the outside line with interest, and actually still on the rear quarter of Slam, but has Buck 57 for company here. Dan Gilligan is also keeping Buck 57 company. It's a nice little huddle there, from 7th down to 10th place. Although Slam now with DRS on Big Sam and could go for a move, should he choose to. Thinks about going for the dive, but nothing doing there. Or he's almost nudging Big Sam through the left-hander. Got to be so careful here not to clobber his nose off, because he will be reciprocated by Tom Riddle, and you don't want that, trust me. Massive train of cars then, led by the Red Bull, still winding its way. It's the Big Sam Express here today. First class cuisine served on this course. I'll tell you what, they have the full 4 courses for you, and I'll tell you it's 4 courses because they're very bougie. But unfortunately, with a shimmy like that, the main course is going to have to wait its time because Slammer's gobbled up the appetizers, and up into P6 he goes as the sun peeks through the clouds. It's an omen for the Mercedes driver as he makes his way past the Red Bull and sets his sights on perhaps higher positions here. Thanassi, though, caught up to this train. Magico, J-Lane. And now Thanassi making a 3-car train. It's Buck 57 that's on the move, though. Round the outside of the Williams car. And the helicopter shot brings us only one thing. Buck 57 is hitting dizzying heights. With P8's dizzying heights, that's probably not very adventurous. Dan Gilligan, though, is the next one to make a move. Another shimmy from Dirkleton. And this is not Strictly Come Dancing, so that will not reward you with anything nice. A slide, though, out of that corner for Dan means Dirkleton can scamper away, though. The momentum shifts happening all the time. 3 wide into this corner briefly. It's Thanassi that'll be down the inside, though. The Ferrari driver's not done yet, though. J-Lane could look for a move, should he choose to. The answer is he plays it very wisely indeed and remains in P4. Lots of back and forth racing happening here, then, at Kota. Happened very briefly for the 2 people up at the front. Stark and Terziak absolutely flying. Thanassi, though, flying very, very high indeed. In fact, he's soaring in this race. His lap times are not to be, what's the word? I can't even think of what the phrase is. Milo's got a time penalty for warnings. Naughty boy. Wilco, though, could be on the move. Down into the final corner because Milo is coming into the pits. First of the pitters in this race. Perhaps it's for a front wing, or perhaps it's a strategic play from the McLaren man. Into the pits he goes, 14 laps to go, and onto mediums, so not choosing to go onto the hards. Clearly under the impression and under the confidence that perhaps it will go to plan. Oh no! What's happened? Buck 57 is out of this race! And a safety car is out. If your name's Miller and you've just come into the pits, that is not what you would have had planned. You've seen Buck 57 on the right there, finds the wall. And unfortunately, it's no consolation as to what I think happened, whether it was a mistake or whether he was bashed off into the realms of Narnia. It is out of the race for one AlphaTauri driver, and in their Constructors' Hall, that is not good at all. So, the field will go to a procession here. Stark, your race leader, will be forced to bunch up with the rest of the field, although I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for a pit stop right here, right now. Terziak, your P2 man. Thanassi completes the podium. Then it's J-Lane in P4. Magico 5th, Slam 6th, Dirkleton 7th, Big Sam 8th. Dan is up to 9th now, and King DD rounds out your top 10. Well, I said perhaps he will pull the trigger, go into the pits. Actually, I probably shouldn't say that because it's America, but Stark comes into the pits, rather unsurprisingly. Terziak also does, rather unsurprisingly, as does Thanassi, J-Lane, Magico. Maybe Slam does as well. Yes, he does. Dirkleton does as well, and it's going to be a Tesco car park into the pit lane. Stark onto the hard tyres, and out he goes, and just about gets out ahead of the AlphaTauri car. Almost chops off the nose of Thanassi there, although being a video game, that won't happen, so it's okay. Stark then exits the pit lane, not in the lead of this race, because King DDD comes out of the pit lane, and with a warp star to his name, finds himself from what was P10, crosses off the 0, and if you do that in a maths exam, it will not mean, actually no, it does mean it would turn into a 1, because 10 into 10, you take off the 0, goes into a 1. I wouldn't advise that for every single maths sum you do. But there you go. What can you do? In this case, it does prove to pay dividends. The... what's the word? What is the word? Very base level maths. Core maths. There you go. But it's the Haas man that leads the field, and they'll be very happy about that at their home race, of course. For the Haas team, the American Dream, P1. And I've been sent a message by someone on Steam asking them to catch $50. Should I accept it? It's tempting. I am partial to $50. Anyway. Behind the safety car then, I'm going to get some water, but I'll run you through the running order just quickly before I do that. Safety car won't be in for at least another lap, so I'm in good stead. It's King Didi, your race leader, although yet to stop. It is then Stark in P2 with Raiden in P3 after all is said and done. Terziak 4th, Thanassi 5th, J-Lane in 6th, Magico in 7th in the Red Bull, Slam in 8th, Dirkleton in 9th, Big Sam in 10th. And then it's Dan Gilligan, Vulcan, Maximus, Captain Wilco, Milo and Giraffe, the last of your runners, because Buck 57 retired earlier on in this race. Hello, I'm back. To which you say, hi, back. I have been hydrated. Although you are fueled by the cacophony, the symphony of V6 turbo hybrids, I am fueled by the blood plasma of Christ. Not strictly or ethically correct, but it's what I've said. So behind the safety car then, here we are. Any other memorable moments from COTA I can run down for you? Well, 2015. It's the venue where Lewis Hamilton won his 3rd Drivers' World Championship. And it provided the iconic cool-down room scene, where Nico Rosberg threw a cap at him. At least Nico Rosberg didn't put a cap in him. That's all I'm saying. Safety car in this lap then. King Didi will have full control over the pace of the field now as they snail their way round this section. Weaving away to find any extra milligrade, I don't even know, of temperature. He's trying to coax more life into the tyres, mate. Will he go earlier than Giraffe? That's the question. I won't find out because my PC has had a brief skill issue, but we're back now. As apparently there are aliens, but King Didi does pull the trigger earlier than Giraffe. To answer my question, into the penultimate corner, in fact, and we are racing again here in Blackout. Oh no! King Didi into the wall, front wing gone, and it's the restart of nightmares for the Haas team. Goodness me, and they find themselves back where it is natural for them, which is plumb last. I'm really sorry, but it is true. Stark then leads, and the gap increasing all the time, but here comes Thanassi on the softs with what? 12 laps to go. Well, that could prove to be a very interesting move indeed. Can he even make them last 12 laps? Surely they'll fall off like a brick. Let's see what Terziak's on. He's on mediums, because, of course, he started on the softs. So, Stark leads then. Gap 1.8 seconds. Thanassi in 2nd. Terziak in 3rd. Raiden already demoted to 4th. J-Lane in 5th. Magico up to 6th. Slam in 7th. Dirkleton in 8th. Big Sam 9th. Dan now up to 10th. But we see now J-Lane go for the move on the Alfa Romeo, down the inside at that previous corner. Gets it done comfortably. Now it's Magico that could be on the move. On board with the Red Bull driver, with assistance of the slipstream from J-Lane, and could think about a move into the left-hander as well. Late on the brakes from Raiden. Still side by side between the two of them. Almost contact made. Millimetric precision from both, but Raiden does win it out for the time being. But there are moves to be made into this left-hander, possibly. Nothing that Magico will try and prize away from the Alfa Romeo driver. Dirk certainly will, though, down the inside of Slam in the Mercedes, and through goes the Williams driver now. All happening. Dan Gilligan's past Big Sam, and now he's well on his way to potentially hounding Slam in the Mercedes. On board with him. Looked like he had fantastic momentum through there. Thanassi, of course, he has the fastest lap because he's on the softs. If you didn't predict that one, I don't know what to tell you. Does King Didi come into the pit lane? There's a question for you. And the answer is yes, he does. So, back at the front then. Stark's in front, but for how much longer? Gap now 0.3 of a second, because this man's on softs. And whether that's an inspired or, quite frankly, shocking decision remains to be seen. Maximus is out. What on earth's gone on there? I don't know. It's another safety car, though. And if your name's Thanassi, you're feeling very happy about that, because you now get to protect your tyres in almost an identical place to where Buck 57 retired. Maximus has also found Barrier, giving him a firm smack across the chops. And it's curtains. Another brief period of hydration then. Let's now calm it down as we head for our second safety car of the race. As a result of all the chaos that's happened, Dan Gilligan's now up to P7. Stark's in! Now that's very interesting indeed. Stark immediately comes off the hard compound tyres, I presume, to strap on a set of soft boots for the rest of this race. But you can't help but feel he's probably thrown away a higher finishing position in this race, unbelievably. Although Raiden and Vulcan certainly aren't going to shy away from pitting onto the softs either. Into the pits they come, although it could be front wing damage is the reason why, but no front wing damage as such. They both just want to go onto the soft tyres. Stark now down to 12th then. So he's not too far behind in the grand scheme of things, and, of course, has fresher tyres now than everybody else. There's the details of it. Those softs now and the rest of the tyres 4 laps old. Raiden and King Didi, for some reason, onto hards though. And I'm surprised King Didi hasn't actually come in again to get off those hard tyres, strap a set of soft boots. Yes, he'd still be well behind, but with how slow and how slug-like the safety car is, you'd still have plenty of time to get in, strap on the tyres you need, and really cause some havoc. So then, guess who's up the top? No prizes for you. It's Thanassi, of course it is. Then it's Terziak in P2. J-Lane in P3 now for Ferrari. Magico 4th. Dirkleton 5th. Dan Gilligan now up to 6th place. Slam in 7th. Wilco 8th. Milo 9th. And Big Sam, or Big Slam, if they want to make children. That's disgusting, actually. I'm sorry I said that. But he's in P10. So then, what of the complexion of this race then? What on earth can we expect? Well, we can expect the safety car to stay out for at least one more lap. That's the answer. I've pressed the wrong button. There you go. Let's have some more. Let's have some, not telemetry, let's have some lap details though. Lap data. And let's look at the finish. Oh, it's not the finishing positions. Let's look at the position changes. Who are the big winners in this race so far? I've done it again. What am I doing? Hide the UI. There we go. You would never even be able to know. I am learning things all the time here, but the big winner so far is The Voice. Shouted and screamed his way into P6. The Alfa Romeo driver. And of course, Thanassi, up 9 positions from where we started in the sprint race, up into P1. So then, we process again. King Didi has indeed caught up to the back of the field. Indeed, caught up, if you know what I'm saying. But what can we expect for the rest of the complexion of this race? Well, if the safety car comes in at the end of this lap, there will still be 8 tours of the Circuit of the Americas to go. In a 25% race, of course, I'm sure the drivers have done these by the bucketful, or 35% races, but they will know that these tyres, soft tyres, can last for about 9 laps, 10 if you're lucky, according to the graph. But like I said, you have to be very, very careful, and thank your lucky stars if you do manage to get them all the way to the end without being gazumped by the medium runners, because of course the crossover will happen relatively soon at speed. We have to remember that. So Terziak, yes, while those soft tyres for Thanassi are still quite fresh, this race is far from over in terms of the actual tyre life being the limiting factor now for the AlphaTauri driver. However, if your name's Stark, there he is. If you are that man in the Aston Martin, and you have tyres that are 4 laps younger, then perhaps it's not over for you. Perhaps there is still something in your corner that you would like to say as this race goes on. Is there going to be any Mercedes team tactics? Giraffe just kindly pulling off the track to let Stark through? The answer is no. The answer is no. If he did that, then, well, there's something very terrible going on. Safety car is in at the end of this lap then, and you know who's controlling the field. The championship leader of this season. The championship winner of last season. Almost been invincible in Blackout so far this season. Albeit in Season 2, things haven't quite gone all his way. I think to race number 2 in Saudi Arabia, it was his teammate, Buck57, who got it all together. Like I said, it's polarising for Buck57, because in race 1, in these race weekends, just doesn't seem to have it figured out. Race 2, though, oh yes he does. Got a podium last time out in Miami, and got the win in Saudi Arabia. But let's see what Thanassi can do. Pulls the trigger early into the penultimate corner, almost a second worth of gap, and we go racing again in Blackout. Dan Gilligan's got track limits, and it's not even hardly gotten to green flag, so oh dear. Here we are, first corner though. J-Lane's not going to try and hang about. He's going to try and go round the outside, but he outbrakes himself horrendously, and that will not be a position promoted for the Ferrari man. Terziak, though, is dropping like a stone. Doesn't seem to have any temperature in those medium tyres or any confidence. And he's dropping, he's losing time all the time, coincidentally. It's Stark, though, is the man I want to watch. He's right on the back of Giraffe. And the 2 drivers that were right at the sharp end in the sprint race now find themselves in technically 1 and 2, albeit slightly outside of P10. Big Sam, though, with a mistake. And now that's Stark's first target. The first man in his reticules, in his sniper scope. On those soft tyres. A massive train of cars there. You saw it right in the, well, technically background. Buck57's left the session, and, well, I don't blame him. It's a disgusting sight for him to see. But anyway, onto the back straight we go. Stark biding his time here. Just waiting patiently. It's Vulcan that's not biding his time, though, or patient. Trying to go around the outside of the Aston Martin driver. Giving it a damn good go at it, but nothing doing there. Nothing materialises, and so on we go. And actually, rather interesting, Terziak's caught up by about half a second to Thanassi throughout the rest of this lap. So, while it wasn't the greatest start to the lap, Thanassi, who has used a bit more battery than Terziak, actually not having the outright pace in the final sector or the middle sector. So, things could get spicy yet in this race. Massive train of cars, though, from Magico, who's in P4 downwards. Yellow flag in Sector 3 for a brief moment. Not too sure what happened there. The answer is nothing, and we continue on our merry way. Let's see what's happening. Yellow flags again in Sector 1. I don't really know what's going on. It's Raiden that seems to be having problems. Still carrying on his way, though, so nothing too debilitating for the Alfa Romeo man. Through Sector 1 we go then. And where on earth has Thanassi's pace gone? And more importantly, what on earth is that exit for J-Lane? Trying to go around the outside once again, and that was raucous. That was too aggressive from the Ferrari man. I hate to say it. That was way, way too past the boil there. What was starting as a simmer there, he turned in way too early, left no room for Terziak to try and reach the apex, and slammed into the Alpine. J-Lane on a rampage, but perhaps not the one he would have intended. But he goes for the lead, and is in the lead. Thanassi slightly wide. I couldn't see if he barged past him. Hopefully not. But the Ferrari man now takes the lead of the US Grand Prix. Unbelievable then, what drama. Just as I was saying, he was way too hot-headed against Terziak. He breezes past the AlphaTauri man, and are those softs really already goosed? If they are, I can't quite believe that. It looks like they are though. He's losing 10th after 10th, corner after corner. Thanassi, the man who thought he'd made the inspired decision, now has the Alpine driver snapping at his heels like a hungry alligator, and is looking to the outside of the first corner. Thanassi chops that avenue off with very, very quickly indeed. What on earth? It looks like he's almost got a problem with how quickly he's dropping off J-Lane. Scampering away is this man then. Goodness me. Dirkleton, though, with a penalty for multiple warnings. Naughty boy. 2 seconds, though. The gap already. What on earth has happened to Thanassi? Has he disconnected or something I don't know about? Because look at the time he's losing. Or maybe the softs really are that goosed. Looks like they could well be. Terziak biding his time because, of course, DRS is enabled on this lap. What started out as a very, very close and almost a foregone conclusion now turns into something very sinister indeed. It's not DRS enabled. I'm apparently an idiot. But Terziak's not wasting any time. And through he goes easily on Thanassi. Down the inside, comfortable as you like. And he understood the assignment, signed it off with an A+, and he's through into P1. J-Lane, though, with some meteoric pace and still pulling away from Terziak. On board with the Ferrari man. And that could be an indication as to why he's also pushed like mad on this lap. Has nothing left in the tank to fight with, should it come later. Terziak, though, has plenty in the tank. Crossed the line, a 1 minute 37.2 is the benchmark. Terziak's time, also a 1 minute 37.2. And now we can see what the outright pace is between these lot. 4.6 seconds the gap. I'm watching very, very closely here. J-Lane's just gaining time. Hand over fist at every single avenue. Raiden, though, into the pits. Deary, deary me. And could well be for a front wing. Could be for a set of... right, there were hard tyres on there, but now there are softs. There's aliens at... Right. Right. No, call the whole thing off. It's outrageous. Terziak, then. Not exactly going slowly, but now 6.1 seconds behind J-Lane. Is this just J-Lane? Is this just the race of his life? My God, he's absolutely rocketing away in that Ferrari car. Although that wasn't the most optimal racing line I've ever seen, but there you go. Into the next corner then, 6.5 seconds. The gap between J-Lane and Terziak. Couple of temps chipped off though. And away goes J-Lane once again then. I'm going to put the telemetry on just to see what's going on. That's the inputs you can see of the man that's currently leading this race by almost 7 seconds from Terziak. Across the line for J-Lane, it's 1 minute 37.4, so he's certainly not losing pace. So I have to wonder what Terziak's time is, and the answer is his is a 1 minute 39.6. Okay then, now we see why. J-Lane with a great bout of pace, and Terziak, well, not having the same turn of pace that J-Lane's had. And so we watch closely at what happens up and down the field. J-Lane, though, absolutely loving this Circuit the Americas track. And the Ferrari man is absolutely galloping along to probably his first win of this Season 2 here in Blackout. And that would be quite something. Fair play to him. He's clearly got the pace to back it up. I'll watch Terziak with interest here just to see if he's making any mistakes. On board with the Alpine driver. Just trying to see how he's losing so much time here. Pinching it into the apex. Gets a decent exit. And there you go. Not losing that much time there in this particular instance. So, there you go then. Oh, dearie me. No, Vulcan. No. He's retired from this session. No. Must be the... Oh, no, he's actually gone... How's he end up there? Blood is lost. Officially. Stark, though, the soft gamble clearly just hasn't paid off, though. Still P11 and stuck. Completely stuck behind Big Sam. Terrible news there for the Aston Martin driver, who would have hoped that gamble would have paid off, but apparently not. So then, J-Lane leads. We have a virtual safety car here with only a few laps to go here in Blackout in Texas. Leads the way comfortably from Terziak, though he's backed up significantly here. Why on earth's he backed up so much? I have no idea. But it looks like we could be racing very soon here. And J-Lane, whatever gap he had before of 8 seconds, has completely eroded, perhaps giving Terziak a little bit of a fair fight. You know what? Fair enough. J-Lane's now put one arm behind his back, and as we surely exit the virtual safety car pretty soon. There it is. Terziak's right underneath the diffuser of the Ferrari man, and racing is on. Again, with 2.5 tours of this circuit of the Americas to go, things get very interesting indeed. J-Lane P1, but Terziak right in the thick of things. Thanassi, though, not far behind big old Terziak either. Terziak's got so close to winning in Blackout so many times in Season 2. I say so many times, it's only the 7th race, so it hasn't been that many, but down the straight we go. And with DRS, well, a lot of battery usage for the Ferrari man. He's been able to save it a little bit, and he can't get close to the Ferrari driver. Through the left-hander, J-Lane with superior pace. On board with the Ferrari man, 3rd gear. Through the corner. If you're wondering why I was so inquisitive before, I was just wondering why on earth Terziak was losing so much time. Just J-Lane's meteoric pace, quite frankly. It was absolutely mahoosively consistent. And it's not like there's a fracas in terms of, oh, he's got abnormal pace. No. He's got pace on the mediums. That is realistic, just to be quite clear. I mean, the fastest lap of the race on the softs, held by this man, the championship leader, Thanassi, was 1 minute 35. And J-Lane's in the realms of 1 minute 37 currently on his medium tyres. So he is really having a great race at things here. And that cannot be understated or overstated for 1 second here. There can only be just the right amount of stating for how well this man has driven after that safety car restart on that set of mediums. Taking a lot of curb into the left-hander there. And J-Lane has found his rhythm. Then there's your confirmation. There's the fastest lap of the race for you. Captain Wilco, currently in P12, has 3 extra points next to his name in the championship standings and the race results. A 1 minute 34 time for the Aston Martin driver. Let's see what battles are boiling up then. The pot has just been simmering away, bubbling up. And now the casserole is cooking. And his name is Dan Gilligan in the Alfa Romeo. DRS flap open, flap deployed. Trying to find an avenue past Dirkleton. Mediums versus hards, but Dirk has all the answers to Dan's queries currently. Still P5 for the Williams driver. Still P6 for the Alfa Romeo man. Can start to get past Big Sam. Well, the answer to that currently is no, he cannot. Goodness. All the pace in the world on those softs you think there would be, but clearly dropping like a brick. Sinking like one, certainly. Across the line, J-Lane with a 1 minute 39.6. Terziak with a 1 minute 39.3. So the pace, clearly, it's relatively similar between these two, but J-Lane just having all the answers to Terziak here. As we head onto the last lap of the Grand Prix. King Didi with a 3-second time penalty for extending track limits, or rather overextending them. Oh dear. Magico, though, actually unsung hero, holding down P4, being very consistent in this race, despite all the chaos that's happened around him. Kept out of trouble, and is now in a comfortable position to score big points, so well done to him, it must be said. And almost in DRS range of Thanassi here, and he is in DRS range for a brief moment, trying to get inside it, and he might just have got it. I don't know. I mean, it's not going to be an avenue past the AlphaTauri driver, but that is there is confirmation, if he needed any at all, of just how quickly the softs have plummeted in performance. Goodness me. Well then, as the battles simmer down, this is Dan Gilligan's final chance to try and pass Dirkleton. Could be a banzai move down the inside, but nothing doing there. Milo can't get past. Stark won't either. But we watch and survey this man, and what can you say? Absolutely stratospheric pace, unprecedented from the rest of the grid to try and face. Terziak tried to have an answer to him at the virtual safety car. He even backed off, had one arm tied behind his back, but this man, what? Right, I don't know what I've just seen, but Thanassi somehow won it, despite all the evidence pointing to him finishing 4th. I don't actually know what's gone on there. Well, J-Lane's won on my screen anyway. I don't know what on earth's happened in the timing screens. And what was supposed to be a triumphant, a sense of triumph against the toils and tribulations of this race. I can't help but feel J-Lane's been slightly robbed according to my screen and its evidence. What on earth has gone on there? Have I been watching a different race? Is that what's happened? What has actually happened? I am, quite frankly, bamboozled. J-Lane is grip hacking. Well, according to the Discord anyway. Well, let me tell you something. I don't know what's gone on here. Because aliens have now hacked the system. Thanassi wins. And I'm not quite sure how. Because based on the evidence on my screen... do you know what? Do you know what? I'm going to remain in bamboozlement. Because I have no idea what just happened. Thanassi apparently takes another win in Blackout. I mean, credit to him. If he did. I mean, according to the evidence on my screen... J-Lane won that race. And so, what? Okay, the order just gets even more confusing now. Dan Gilligan, who was behind Dirk's, now in... What's actually gone on? No, what has actually gone on? I am completely and utterly bamboozled. And that is all I have to say. So, according to the Codemasters, Thanassi wins. Terziak 2nd, J-Lane 3rd, Stark 4th, Slam 5th, Magico 6th, Dirkleton 7th, Milo 8th, Big Sam 9th, Dan Gilligan 10th, with Wilco, Giraffe, Raiden King, DD, Vulcan, Maximus, and Buck 57, rounding out your order. And I have no idea on God's green earth how on earth Thanassi has won that race, because according to the evidence on my screen, J-Lane won that. He absolutely won that. Right. Well then. I am a man that is left in awe, astonishment, and, well, anguish. To be honest with you. What should have been a triumphant piece of commentary for the winner of the race, whoever it would have been. It's materialised into nout. Because I don't know who won that race. Nobody knows who won that race. And we shall never know who won that race. According to the record books anyway, Thanassi is the one that won that race. And you know what? It's a championship leader. I can believe that, honestly. But for some reason, I just can't quite tell how J-Lane, who was first on track and crossed the line first, ended up with Thanassi and Terziak ahead of him. Someone explain that to me. Someone explain that to me. Well then, whilst we try and get to the bottom of it, I'll run down that race for you in the way that I saw it. In the first stint, it was Stark that had complete control, starting out on the medium tyres, and would have done so had it not been for the safety car. Buck 57 crashing out, meeting Barry R, who gave him a firm smooch and then rejected him. And that was very sad. But unfortunately for Buck 57, that meant his race was over. Safety cars meant everyone pitted. But a second safety car meant Stark, who was in P1 and chose not to stay out, ended up right at the back of the field and with all the work to do. But when push came to shove, he couldn't even get past Big Sam. Or at least that's what I saw. In the case of Codemasters, he came 4th, though. I don't really know what happened. But Anywho, regardless of that, that was quite a fun race to watch. Hopefully in Imola, the scoreboard will be less confusing. And, well, we'll see you for race 2 in a few minutes. What on earth happened there? Well, there are a lot of moments in life where you feel like you've been impostered. This is one of those moments, because as it turns out, I was watching not the same race as everybody else, somehow, on my stream. So while you and I might have seen J-Lane win, Thanassi did actually win. We can confirm this. So I have found out now, Thanassi did win. Big Sam has kindly notified me that it would appear I disconnected, apparently, somehow. I don't really know how, but somehow I have, and watched the AI. So there you go. So no thanks to Codemasters. Just another one of the foibles that I have to deal with in their brilliantly optimized game. So thanks, guys. Very cool. I'm very happy that I commentated J-Lane apparently winning a race when he didn't. So just to be quite clear, the order, which is not according to is according and not according to Codemasters, but the real race order was the one I said, which is Thanassi, Terziak, J-Lane, Stark, etc., etc. So while Stark apparently on my screen didn't make the moves, he did, actually. And I feel cheated, because I would have loved to see Stark charging through the field. Well, there you go, then. I'm disappointed. And maybe that's why J-Lane was so far ahead, because actually, according to the AI, it just went to realistic cars, and that's why the Alpine and the AlphaTauri couldn't catch up. How about that? How about that? It's not any consolation. I'm still mega pissed off, and I can say that because I genuinely am. That's a joke, and I'm very disappointed. Luckily, the guys over at Blackout are very kindly offered to screen share just in case this does happen again, and I turn out watching virtual bollocks, for lack of a better term. Well, there you go then. What was supposed to be a simple standby screen has now turned into an old-fashioned rant. Yes, it's good to be back. Well, we head to Imola next. And I touch all the wood on... My desk is made of wood, so I'm in good stead. But I touch all the wood on my desk that this won't happen again. And that we can all watch the same race, enjoy all the fun, and have a good time. So, apologies about race 1. Thanassi was your real winner. Join us very soon, though, for race 2.
sun. To dream, believe in strength. Now I'm the only one, only one. I was an ordinary boy until I broke the rules. My life destroyed, life destroyed. Until I woke awake, scream my mind, I shout, the ground shakes. How much can I take? My mind will break. Will it break? Can I take? Can I be your superhero? Superhero. Can I be your superhero? Superhero. 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 Fly away. It's the first time of today. Today. To dream, believe. You are the strength, you're all I need. Need. Oh, gonna give it a shot. Only one of me to shield you all from the enemy. You're superhero. You're superhero. Can I be your superhero? Superhero. 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 Can I be your superhero?
Ladies and gentlemen, I've got a frog in my throat. Now I'm not Donald Duck. Here we are for Imola. And if this race is anything like last race for me, I won't know who's won until about an hour's time. And it will be someone completely different. But hopefully it's not like that. I'm kind of disappointed, actually. I'm extremely disappointed. One, in Codemasters, because they're not masters of code, so they're clearly false advertising there. And secondly, because I didn't get to see some great things, like Thanassi retaining the lead, actually. Like Terziak and J-Lane's race-long battle till the end, like Stark charging his way up through the field. So many things that I didn't get to see, that I am disappointed about. But anyway, it's Imola. We turn over a new leaf. We go to an historic venue on the Formula 1 calendar and on the Formula 1 circus for qualifying. It was a sprint race last time out, but we have 18 minutes of qualifying action, and I might as well just go and spectate Dirkleton because he's going to be first out on the track. And if you think I'm wrong, then, well, you're wrong, to be honest with you, because are you ready for this? Are you ready? I could write a script, and it still wouldn't give you that much of an idea as to how much of a genius I am at this guessing game. There's a Williams man. Actually, no, it's a Red Bull that's out first, but no. Told you. Out of the pit lane first, it's Dirk. I am genius. I am also frustrated, but hopefully my frustration will be curtailed after some, quite frankly, wonderful qualifying action. Thirst-quenching qualifying action. I was thinking of a superlative that began with Q, but I couldn't think of one. So there you go. Out onto the Imola track then. Reintroduced to the Formula 1 calendar, of course, in 2020. Back for the first time since 2006. It was Lewis Hamilton that won in Imola that day. But who won before that? Yes, Michael Schumacher. Two of the greatest ever to do it. Winning at this great venue. Since then, though, it's been Max Verstappen, and Max Verstappen. Rather unfortunately for most people this season. However, you've got to applaud the job that they have done all year. That's the main thing. Through into the chicane then. Very easy to get track limits wrong, but if you get it just right, clip over the curbs the right amount, you'll be absolutely flying through that section. So, let's ride on board with Dirk then, as he toboggans down towards the left-hander. Round the final corner and onto the straight, and away we go for a lap of the Imola circuit. If you remember to last year, complete chaos from start to finish. Tom, who was leading, retired at the safety car restart. He crashed, so that was terrible. It was in fact Thanassi that won here, if I remember correctly, on very, very aged medium tyres. So he did an incredible job then. But we're watching the job of Dirk get through the Tamburello chicane very comfortably indeed. Into the Villeneuve chicane. Flicks it into the left, flick it into the right, use all the exit curb on the way out. Into Tosa. It's got nothing to do with bread. I don't know why they've called it that, but again, a little bit wide through there. A bit of time to find as he heads now down towards Piratella. Easily the most culpable place for track limits. A bit wide through there, but gets the exit altogether, most importantly. Into mineral water. Will it feel like a sparkling water scenario? The answer is he doesn't take too much exit curb, and he has a cracking exit on his way towards the chicane. I think it's Rivazza is the name of the chicane. Lovely use of the first curb, not bouncing over it too much. A purple sector 2, courtesy of the fact he is the first one to do so. And then down towards the final two corners. Out from the other end, through the horizon, round the final two corners. Don't use too much of that exit curb on the second to last corner. Use as much as you want on the last one, though. Optimise your line, and across the line, it's a 1 minute 16.8. Very nicely done indeed. The Williams driver sets the benchmark then, but let's see who else is setting the benchmark even further higher. Or lower, actually. Lower times are better. Wilco to cross the line. It's a 1 minute 15.6. Holy moly, he's on it like a car bonnet. Goodness gracious me. He's absolutely smashed that. Magico gets ahead of Dirk. Half a second between himself and the Williams driver. Great stuff there. Stark, though, on a lap. DRS open. And it's only P2 for the Aston Martin driver. The man who got P4 last time out, which I wish I could have seen. But he's 6/10 off his teammate for the time being. COMMENTATE, though, getting a move on. Who's across the line next? The answer is, it is Buck 57. With an absolutely shambolic time, to be honest with you. So let's see what Maximus is up to. Answer is he's P6, also on 1 minute 26, but he went for 2 warm-up laps. That's probably why. Maybe he had to abort his first lap, which is not ideal. Through the final two corners, though, for Terziak. Second place again in Kota. Looking to do one better here. Can he do it? Oh, yes, he can. First man into the 1 minute 14s, right on the cut. 2,000s underneath it. Very fine margins, but a wonderful, sensational. I glitched. scintillating lap from that man, Terziak. Giraffe, though, will be soon to cross the line. I say soon. He's at the beginning of the lap, so it's not going to be soon at all. But let's see what Big Sam's up to. He's invalidated his lap. Well, he'll have to go again then, won't he? McLaren Man of Millo, though, is on a lap and hasn't invalidated it. And with just a... he's left the bollard a victim of assassination. Goes to P3, but a 500-second time penalty for vandalising the bollard. I think that's only fair. What on earth? Vulcan's on smoke. P4 with 1 minute 15.9. What a lap time from the Haas driver. Vulcan out of nowhere is on smoke. Buck 57 also on a bit of smoke, up into P3, 1 minute 15.7. But Terziak is the man to beat, and convincingly so. Absolutely flying out there. The only man still in the 1 minute 14s. We know one other man that can do it. But for now, that is an ominous benchmark for the rest of the grid to try and match. Other times that I've ignored while all of this is happening. Dan Gilligan in P8, only a 10th ahead of Dirk. Now Giraffe does cross the line. Up into P10, King Didi, P11. Demoted down to P12. Very quick smart, though. Because Slam up to P8. Well, 1 minute 16.4. Big Sam out on another lap through the penultimate corner. Doesn't invalidate his time. He's going to do it. Round the final corner. Onto the pit straight. DRS flap spread open. It's P13. Oh, it's 1 minute 25.3. That's 3 warm-up laps for the Red Bull driver. 2 of those, of course. Well, one of them was an out lap. The next one after that, track limits. And then the one after that, 1 minute 26.4. Just a nice little taster here. Just to basically get the geography of the circuit correct. And it's times like that in qualifying where you don't want to do that. Yes, the lap time is short, but why would you sacrifice some of your session where you could be getting more and more confident, finding the limits of your car just that little bit more as the minutes go down? 7 minutes already has gone in this qualifying session. Before you know it, it'll be done. Into mineral water. How does he do? The answer is a little bit narrow into that second part. Could have afforded to be a little bit wider and then cut in on that late apex on the second par. Into Rivazza. Clips the first curb, ignores the second curb almost completely, but is very, very stable on the way out. Down towards the final 2 corners, and that is a lovely camera angle. Goodness me, that is a lovely, lovely camera angle. Round the final corner then. Onto the pit straight. DRS wide open. Big Sam sets a big time P12. It is P12. However, it is 1 place better than King DD. So that is a positive. Ferraris, respectively, still, well, trying to do lap times, but in Slam's case, he's having to go again here after invalidating his first time. Narrow line as possible, and away he goes here. And let's ride on board with the Ferrari man while we are here for a lap of the Imola Grand Prix circuit. There you go then. Neat little lap, a bit hot into some of the corners, but kept it all together across the line. And it is P4 for the Ferrari man. A neat little lap there. His teammate will cross the line very soon and only goes P9 for the time being. But here's the man that I've been waiting for. Thanassi has already invalidated his lap time. And that's another way to invalidate your lap time. He's showing us how not to do a lap of Imola currently. It's a great demonstration. Again, almost off the track at Acqua Minerale. He's on an outlap here and pushing like absolutely crazy. My goodness me. Anyway, like I was saying, a bit hot into some of the corners, especially Tamburello, in my opinion, probably the hardest corner on this track other than Piratella. The reason it's so hard is because if you just take it in that little bit too tight, cut it too fine, you end up hitting the sausage curbs, and this is the one time where actually biting into a sausage is not okay. And in this particular instance, it's going through that Tamburello chicane. Here's the man, the myth, the legend, though. Stark, by the way, has gone P2 with a 1 minute 15.0. I've missed so much. I'm so sorry, everybody. But my word, Stark only a less than a 10th off Terziak. Wilco hardly behind Stark either. This is incredible stuff. Here's Thanassi, though. Went through Tamburello and has aborted his lap time. Must have made a mistake or gone through the gravel or something, because clearly that was not the lap time he desired, and it's a chink in the armour of the championship leader. The confidence-o-meter has come down slightly on his end here, and that's not what he would have wanted. Here's on the overtake, though, Giraffe, and he's invalidated his lap. Why can't I have any fun? Here's someone I can have fun with. It's Buck57, and to be quite clear, I don't mean it like that. I just mean you've actually set a time that's valid. Cross the line, and only a 10th worth of improvement there from Buck57. So while Wilco and Stark's improvement was, well, mildly meteoric, it is quite the simmer for the AlphaTauri man. Milo, though, on another lap, and he's, oh my god, a time absolutely identical set by Dan Gilligan. Wow. Well then, I told you it was fine margins. I didn't think it'd be that fine, let me tell you that much. Through the first couple of corners. Into Toaster. Has not charred the ends of his bread. And on he goes. Up towards Piratella. Like I said, easiest corner of the track. Will it catch a victim of trying to expose the track limits? Somehow, no. That was right on the money there from Milo. My goodness me. Mineral water next. Again, keeping it well within track limits for that corner. Watching it all the time here since the FIA have finally got their binoculars out for it. I might as well too. Clipping that first curb very nicely, and again the second curb, but a bit of a twitch on the way out. Subscribe to my Twitch. Down the hill we go then. There's my thumbnail shot. And through into the final two corners, using as much of the... Oh my god, that was close again. Milo playing with fire here, but he's found the heat and he's going into the pits. It doesn't even matter. He used all of those track limits, and he's into the pits. Thanassi, though, has invalidated his lap. And he's only got 5 minutes to go here. So this just got a little bit more zesty, really, I'll be honest with you. Because that's 2 lap times. Now, he hasn't been able to do... Well, of course, the first one was his outlap, but this is the first one at proper racing speed where he hasn't done it. Actually, no, it is 2 laps. What am I talking about? He had a cooldown lap before that. My goodness me. Thanassi, then, on the back foot. Could have been a million things that I didn't see. Could have been impeding, could have been skill issue, could have been Codemasters issues. It's not uncommon, not uncommon, rather unfortunately, but they are all very possible, is all I'm trying to say. Pulls into the pits, slaps on a set of new boots. And he'll eagerly, with anticipation, await a fresh set of boots and go again. Where's someone who was going again? It was Big Sam. On a 1 minute 16.794. Bunch of others behind him that are going for it. One of which is this man, Dirkleton. Behind him, Maximus is only 5 thousandths off him. It's a purple Sector 1 briefly, and then Maximus takes that mantle. Okay, things getting a bit interesting now in this session, are they? Into Piratella. Don't use too much of the track limits, and well within track limits there for Dirk. Does Maximus do the same? The answer is he's slowed right down there. No idea why. He's kept well out of the way of the Alfa Romeo, so well done him. Hopefully that hasn't put Raiden off kilter. Doesn't look like it has. So now we go back to Dirk then. Full attention on the Williams driver. Where in Texas this weekend they got a double point score, albeit no consolation to the fact that they were just slow. But crucially for them today, there is no such eventualities that will happen. They have to do it on merit. So, up to the line. DRS open. Across that line, Dirk will go. And it's P5. Very nice time indeed. Let's see what Raiden can do now in the Alfa Romeo. DRS open. And only P15 and actually 2,000 off Big Sam. Well then. It's all very, very fine margins here and there. Here goes Maximus for another lap of Imola. Let's go for some ASMR commentary. Tamburello. Ooh, clip those curbs. Ooh, that's zesty. Stay out of the way, McLaren. There's a charging Ferrari coming through. Oh my goodness, understeer. Car went a little bit straight on. Toaster. Ooh, nice and burnt. Purple sector 1. Hello. I hated that. I'm not doing that again. Piratella, don't go wide. And he's gone wide. What did I say, man? Don't go wide. What does he do? He goes wide. There you go, then. At least, he's got time for one more lap. In this... Oh, good God! Maximus is not waiting around for anything. That's definitely invalidated his lap time. Another chance for a thumbnail shot, should I so want it. Maximus is going for a spot of lawn mowing, as it looks like. Well, then. Let's see what other drivers have in store, as Maximus will go round the final corner. And don't you dare tell me everyone's disconnected again, because I'm about to cry if that's the case. I'm watching anxiously just to see what happens now. Because the last time Buck57 left, I was already disconnected. Oh, dear God, Maximus has gone so wide. We're not disconnected at all. Thanks for confirming that for me. Let's watch his teammate, J-Lane, on a flying lap. Here we go, then. Stark's actually one that's way up the road, but slowed right down. But still, with a minute and a half of qualifying to go, he is well and truly able to just cool it down, keep the tyres at temperature, and go again at the end of this session. Someone who only has the one chance, though, is this man. Thanassi through Tamburello. Absolutely fine. No problems at all. Using a bit of the curb on the way out. Don't use too much of it, of course. Don't use any of the curbs too much, or else you'll look like a fool, quite frankly. Why does my computer continue to have skill issues? I will never know. Through Toaster we go. It's a purple sector 1. Of course it is. Another spot of lawn mowing for Maximus, whose qualifying session is most definitely over. Through Piratella. No problems at all that time. Mineral water. Was he feeling a bit of sparkle going into his step? The answer is probably yes. That was almightily close. J-Lane up to P4 meanwhile, and I'm watching those times anxiously. Thanassi, purple sector 2. Oh, here we go. You knew it was coming. It's inevitable. It's like Thanos with the Infinity Stones. It's only a matter of time before this man prizes pole position from your grasp. No matter what kind of confidence you might have, this man in the AlphaTauri, the Mercedes driver last year, the championship leader, crosses the line, and it's a 1 minute 14.8, currently provisional pole, but there are still many times to go in this session as Wilco is right on the money again. Almost pipping Thanassi to the post. It's not over until it's over. Here comes Stark then. Through the final corner. Will finish the lap. DRS wide open. And Stark goes pole. I don't believe it. Stark goes pole. I completely slept on the other cars. Stark has pipped Thanassi to the post. There's only one man left, surely, that can take pole. And it's Terziak. Through the chicane, absolutely tobogganing through them. A bit lackluster on the power, though. He has to wait for the car to settle down. Through the right-hander we go. Only 2 corners to transgress and travel before Terziak has his final time on the board. Almighty speed carried, and he's pitting. That's it. Stark on pole position for the San Marino Grand Prix. A fantastic qualifying session, and this man does it again. And I bet you're glad I didn't disconnect for that one, because what an end to the qualifying that was. Wilco was right on the money, and as soon as Wilco had a fleeting chance, Stark was right there to pick up the pieces. Hardly anything to separate the two teammates, but when push comes to shove, Thanassi will start P2. Stark on pole position for the race. Well, they say records are meant to be broken. They say fairy tales are meant to be written. And one man took his quill and wrote a piece of utter perfection from start to finish. Stark on pole position as Thanassi pulls into the pits to end his qualifying session and to surely end this whole qualifying session. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen, Stark does it again in Blackout. What a way to do it as well, hardly anything to separate the top people. And like I said, I'm so glad that I'm here for this one, and I hope I'm there all the way through the race as well. Someone will ping me probably if I happen to disconnect, which, touch wood, I don't. But wow. What a qualifying session. Stark, pole position. Thanassi, P2. Wilco, 3rd. Terziak, 4th. J-Lane in 5th. Buck, 57 in 6th. Vulcan, Dirkleton, Milo, and Slam complete your top 10 with Magico, Dan Gilligan, Giraffe, Maximus, King Dede, Big Sam, and Raiden rounding out your grid lineup. Buck, 57 said, I did lag out again. So, yeah, you know what? It was fine in this case. It was absolutely fine. I don't think it was, to be honest, I don't think it was purely you that caused me to lag out and disconnect. I'll be completely honest with you. I just put 2 and 2 together and decided that's what happened. I don't think it's actually your fault, to be quite clear. But the order is exactly the same on the screenshot that I've been sent compared to what I've seen. And it has to be because we're at the race now. We are at the race now. So if it happens to be a completely different grid order, then I know something's gone horribly wrong on my end. Stark, though, from pole position. Of course, pole position on this track, on this game, it's evil, quite frankly. It's evil. You're almost pointing towards going off the track. You have to turn and start the race like that. It's really rather horrible. The start procedure at the Emilia-Romagna Pizza Pasta Pancetta Pirelli Grand Prix. But hopefully, into turn 1, Stark can keep that lead, and it will be controlled, collected, and calm, just like it was in the US before my game had a skill issue. Codemasters had another frequent skill issue. Slam is apparently playing F1 23 again, according to my screen. I can see it at the bottom. You probably can't see it, but I can at the bottom right. I don't know whether to be concerned by that. But we are about to find out. We wait patiently then. The crowd on the DHL sign's going absolutely mild, but they can get excited now. 5 red lights. Lights out and away we go, and Stark on the mediums, Thanassi on the soft, but it looks like Stark's got a great start on those mediums. Fantastic stuff. So now we look to J-Lane, to Terziak, and a bunch of others as it's all getting very frosty. Thanassi tries to go around the outside, does go around the outside. Very nicely done. Buck 57, no! Already problems as he spun round early on. Manages to keep it on the road though, and Vulcan, who I sung the praises of in qualifying, finds himself plumb last. Oh, dearie me! Dan Gilligan off to the left. He's out of this race already. And before you can even say die, a virtual safety car, well, it's not even a virtual, a full safety car is out. And I'm already out of breath. Well then, that was quite the start, wasn't it? Let's run through the order then, just so we can re-gauge ourselves for a brief moment. Let's see here. Telemetry, lap data I want, and I want positions changed. There we go, fantastic. So, big winner so far then, Maximus, up 5 positions from where he started. If your name's Dan Gilligan, it's the biggest loss possible. You're out already. Vulcan and Buck 57 also down 9 positions from where they both started, respectively. And that's quite horrible. That is a very horrible sinking feeling, to be honest with you. Like I said, though, Thanassi, P1. Wilco in 2nd. Stark in 3rd. Terziak, 4th. J-Lane in 5th. 6th, Dirkleton. 7th, Milo. 8th, Slam. 9th, Maximus. Giraffe completes your top 10. And Dan Gilligan has left the session. And, well, I don't blame him, to be honest with you. How can you blame him? I said this last week, but I'd love to drive in one of these races. Granted, I've never practiced for a league race or done a league race ever in my life before. I got invited to one back in F1 2021, and I chose to ignore it because I simply couldn't be bothered. and I simply was horrendously inconsistent. Nowadays, though, I've actually got my act together, but I like to be behind the microphone. It's my comfort zone. Not comfort zone necessarily. It's my passion, as it were. Here we are then. Stipulations for the rest of this race then. If you started on the softs, great news. You get to just cool it off a little bit and bring our conservation mode on the tyres for a little bit, which is good news. If you're on the mediums, again, you get to save them, and perhaps medium and soft isn't completely out of the question here. Medium and hards, I think, would be the strategy most of the time. However, in a 25% race, again, plug, softs and mediums, well, the game says 9 laps on each, generally speaking. So there's no reason why the softs mediums couldn't work from the start anyway, but it just gives time for the tyres to cool down and bring themselves, just coax them down a little bit. Conserve, nurse, resuscitate, all of those words, you know what I mean? Safety car out for at least another lap then, and I get to talk about Imola once again then. Imola, of course, an historic venue, like I said before, but certainly not a venue without tragedy. 1994 claimed the lives of 2 drivers, one Roland Ratzenberger, and 2, one of the greatest drivers in Formula 1 history, one Ayrton Senna. In one of the darkest, in fact, probably the darkest weekend in Formula 1's history, still to this day. You can find a statue outside of the Imola circuit, actually round near where Tamburello is, outside of the circuit. There's a statue of Ayrton Senna there. It's a rather harrowing reminder of what F1 was like back then. Well, really is it though, because in a race weekend scenario, no one in F1 had died in 12 years. 1982 was the last time. It took them 12 years. However, Imola also seen its fair share of absolutely sublime races. On a more positive note, 2005, Fernando Alonso would win that race. Kimi Raikkonen looked set to try and prize victory out of the hands of the French team. However, unreliability, just as what plagued McLaren so many times in 2005, happened at Imola. And it was another 10 points lost for the team. Again, the safety car will stay out for another lap. No, never mind, it won't. Thank God for that. I was going to say. Alonso, though, had to defend furiously from Michael Schumacher. Furiously. Was really putting the youngling in Formula 1 at the time to the sword against the big giant, the 7-time world champion, the Leviathan. But in the end, he kept his cool, defended supremely well under immense pressure to manage to get that win. Giraffe has somehow got a 5-second penalty for skill issues on Codemaster's part. But anyway, Thanassi has control of the pace now. At the front of the field, they're snaking all the way down to the final 2 corners. And there he goes. He pulls the trigger. And we are racing again here in Imola. Thanassi crosses the line then. Wilco in second. Stark in third with me getting hiccups. I'm going to have to neck another goose at this point. Terziak in fourth. J-Lane in fifth. And quite a way behind because he's under pressure from Dirk now in sixth. Milo in 7th, Slam 8th, Maximus 9th, Giraffe still completes the top 10 with a 5-second penalty for Codemasters having skill issues. So, now what can we expect to see? Well, Wilco's having none of it. Thanassi's not getting away anytime soon. Wilco's sailing his way up to the back there, and he's not going to be waiting around anytime soon. Look at the way he went through Tosa there. He's absolutely flying. Confidence in spades in race trim for the Aston Martin driver. Pressure being put on into Piratella. And it's all getting very intense up at the front. Thanassi thought he might have had the jump on Wilco, but Wilco's saying, no sirree, here I am. You think you've got it easy? No, you don't, sunshine. 4/10 the gap. It's Terziak actually looking for a move down into the chicane, into Rivazza. Stark tries to remain alongside, but Terziak was always going to close that door at the second apex. And through goes the Alpine driver, and Ferrari, the Tifosi, could be jumping for joy. They're about to off themselves as J-Lane, yeah, I'll get about off themselves. J-Lane didn't make the move. Anyway, up at the front, 6/10. That's all it is. between Thanassi and Wilco. Fastest lap for the Aston Martin driver by a 10th of a second. Terziak up to 3rd, Stark in 4th, J-Lane in 5th. Dirk up to 6th, well, I said up to 6th, he's already in 6th, but Millo's the one putting him under immense pressure, trying to look for the outside line, but Straight just runs out of time there to try and make the move. Feels hopeless when you're that close, but you're running out of straight every single time. It's almost horrible, really. Maximus is out! No! Oh, dearie me! On the exit of Tamburello, a spin into the barrier, and... Right, second safety car. I'm going to jump off a bridge. So, 5 laps of racing down, 2 safety cars, and 1 depression. Quite frankly, 1 depression. Anyways, I can talk to you about more history about Imola. 2006, well, while in 2005 it was Alonso that was winning, the roles were significantly reversed. Michael Schumacher was the one leading that race. Alonso that day with the quicker car, with the mass dampers, which is clever, really. Very, very simple trick from the Renault team that actually provided them with a lot of benefit. Was outlawed, I think, halfway through the season, but anyway, what can you do? The main thing is that it was Schumacher at the front of that race, in front of the Tifosi, in front of the adoring home crowd. Thanassi comes into the pit stop. Okay. So does Wilco, so does Terziak. It's Stark that will assume the lead and assume control of the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Slam up to 2nd. Almost everyone coming in, my goodness me. Mediums on for the AlphaTauri driver. And it would be no surprise at all, in fact, that they'd be able to run them all the way through to the end of the race. I'm going to have a quick water break, and I'll be right back. Water break done. And I normally have lots to talk about, but what is there to talk about when it's like watching paint dry? Let's run through the order, though, while we are still here. Stark leads, Slam 2nd, Big Sam up 13 positions into 3rd. He's the GOAT! I'm telling you. Anyway, Buck 57 in 4th, Vulcan in 5th. Thanassi down to 6th, but remember, lots of people have pitted in this race. That is why it is not quite as it seems. Safety car in this lap, then, and just to be quite clear, I've not lagged out. This is the actual order for the moment. So let's get that cleared up. It is all okay. Stark, though, has control of the field. We'll ride on board with Slam then to assess when Stark pulls the trigger and what Slam's reaction will be. Hopefully not living up to his gamer tag, because that would be quite tragic. Weaving to coax any sort of life back into the tyres as much as possible. Slam now waiting patiently for Stark to pull the trigger. Will Stark do the same as Thanassi in terms of going into turn number, I don't know what number it is, but the penultimate corner? No, he won't. He'll keep the field backed up. He'll actually go now, halfway through, catching Slam a little bit unawares. Gap now 6 tenths, and it's a comfortable restart for the Aston Martin driver. So, Stark well underway. Now it's Buck 57 that we need to watch. Actually, it's Thanassi immediately that we need to watch. Straight on it, like a car bonnet. Vulcan's looking vulnerable, and Thanassi says thank you very much. Down the inside with immense gratitude through Tamburello, and he has percussioned his way round the Haas driver up into P5. Stark at the front, though. Look at that front end sliding there. Look visually through there, and Slams was even worse, to be honest with you. I'm definitely not lagged out because Thanassi is on the move and on the march. So that is great news. It's Wilco, actually, that'll be next on the move. Vulcan has more predators heading his way. He is very much prey here. He'll be praying for another safety car so he can get off these tyres and hopefully not lose too much time to the rest of the cars. But for now, he's going to have to bide his time. Wilco, actually, interestingly, on the hard tyres. That is rather interesting, but to the outside of Rivazza. Can Wilco do it? He's going to try it, but he gets boxed in again. And look at Terziak. Oh, dear. Slightly miscalculated there from Captain Wilco. Gets the rear end sliding out. For some reason, J-Lane lets them back through after getting that opportunistic move done on both of them. Might have been a brief yellow flag that caught him out on illegal overtakes, but no front wing damage, blissfully, for the Aston Martin driver, and he can continue on his merry way. But Terziak passed the Aston Martin car, and Vulcan has some breathing space. It's Thanassi, though, that could be on the move. It's Buck 57, one AlphaTauri's through. There's the other AlphaTauri getting past the big sister of Red Bull. Excellent work, and now here comes Thanassi on the inside of his teammate, and that looked pretty premeditated. No reason fighting it out. Thanassi's on a completely different strategy, and it's wise to let him through and get after the front two in this race. Meanwhile, Terziak's on the move again. What on earth's happened to Vulcan? Something terrible has happened to him because he's gone really, really slowly. What on earth's happened there? Terziak through, Wilco through, J-Lane through, Dirkleton through. Although Vulcan's not going to let this one go sitting down. Well, he has to now because, well, if he's standing up and playing, that's a bit weird. But also because there's no way he's going to be fighting up against the big boys now. Milo will be next to gobble him up in no time at all, I have no doubt. Meanwhile, this is the state of play. Stark in first, Slam in second, Thanassi in third, Buck 57 in fourth, Big Sam in fifth. And while we are here, let's ride on board with a race lap with Thanassi. Let's just see the majesty happen. Run the final corner then. I told you it was only a lap it was going to take, and Thanassi is going to breeze past the Mercedes man. Cool as you like. Slam has been demoted to P3. Thanassi's crusade continues to the big time. on those fresh set of medium tyres. It was really a no contest, but you would have seen visibly how quickly he would have caught up to the back of the Silver Arrows car. And now his quest continues for an Aston Martin main course. Another position to gobble up. Meanwhile, Vulcan has been significantly gobbled in all of this. He's down to P12 now. Although Big Sam has got other problems. Vulcan's looking very racy against him. Trying to find an avenue past. Giraffe, King Dede, Raiden. A 5-car train there. Oh no, Raiden! Into the grass. Bit of lawn mowing. But on he goes. No problems at all. Anyways, this is the battle we've been waiting for. Pole sitter Stark versus second place man on the grid, Thanassi. Took advantage of the safety car to get that free pit stop. Stark, I'm sure, will be hoping for a safety car, praying for a safety car to come round at some point in this race. You never know, he could get it. But for now, it's almost academic here. Thanassi, DRS, slipstream being used, breezing past the Aston Martin driver. And as he's done so many times in Blackout, Thanassi leads the Grand Prix here. Terziak, meanwhile, up to P4 in the background. DRS wide open. Milo's also on the move. And it's Wilco who's also looking to be on the move against J-Lane. Although J-Lane does defend it very nicely, it looks like. Maybe it was J-Lane getting past Wilco. I have no idea. Well, there you go then. There's a yellow flag in Sector 1. What on earth's happened there? Oh, no, Giraffe! Into the wall. And as soon as I say it, the gods of Formula 1 have answered Stark's prayers. The safety car out halfway through his lap number 12 crusade. And the Aston Martin driver is feeling a bit smug. So what do you do if you're in Thanassi's position? Do you stay out on the mediums? Do you come in for a new set of softs? Well, surely you would come in for that new set of softs. Because with 10 laps to go, well, think of how quickly and with how much of an offset Stark's going to have on his tyres and how quickly he's going to ramp his way through the field. I was going to say romp, but rampage and romp seem to just mix there. But anyway, the point is, the number 53 man is going to pit. So's Thanassi, and that's the right decision, surely, because why? And Slam's even got a free pass as well here. So things now get very interesting in the complexion of this race. Buck 57, I'm going to watch the double stack in the meantime, because that will get very interesting. Stark could get held in his pit box here. That's going to be horrible, horrible, horrible news. But actually, let out pretty quickly, and away goes Stark. So he has not been harmed by it at all, actually, and he's right on the back, once again, of Thanassi. Out goes Thanassi on the mediums. Out goes Stark on softs. Oh, here we go then. Here we go then. This is where it gets very interesting. Last race in the US, it was Thanassi that was the big gambler. Played his cards, laid them on the table, and he came out with the full prize. The full complement of 30 points for winning in Blackout. Once again, important to emphasise that despite all of the failings of some of the drivers in this race, that points are awarded from 1st to 15th. So Giraffe, despite meeting Barrier and just giving him, oh, I was going to say a nose job, that's horrible. That's actually juvenile, I can't say that. But getting his nose ripped off by Barrier, he's still going to get a point. Yay! I love Blackout, and so should you. Lap number 13, over halfway through this race then, and here's the state of play. J-Lane now leads this race, staying out, thinking that the one-stop is the way to go for the prancing horse. Milo in P2, Dirk in P3, Magico P5. J-Lane is actually in P1, just to be quite clear. I'm going to check my Discord as well, just to make sure that's right. And it is. J-Lane is in P1, Milo is in P2, Dirkleton is in P3. Then it's Magico, King Dede, Thanassi, the first at the drive. Wow, that was not English. The first of the drivers to have made a second pit stop in this race. Stark hasn't made a second pit stop, but of the most recent pitters, he is next up on the road in P7. Raiden now up to 8th, Slam in 9th, provisionally P3 once all is said and done. Unless these guys don't pit again at the front, which is also entirely possible. Buck 57 in 10th with Wilco. I don't know how Wilco's ended up in P11, but that's horrible news for him. Vulcan 12th, Big Sam 13th, Giraffe 14th, Raiden in 15th. And Raiden has changed onto a new set of boots. So tactical from the Alfa Romeo man. We'll see if that pays off as we get on the way, hopefully very shortly, I imagine, at the end of this lap. Here we are then, processing behind the safety car. 2020, memorable because, well, Bottas probably could have and should have won, but car problems let him down. And Verstappen, who was Hamilton's closest challenger, his tyre blew up. Actually, 2 tyres, they completely ripped themselves to shreds. It was quite raucous, actually. 2021, it was Verstappen that won, but not without a bit of an elbow out at turn number 1 against Hamilton. 2022, the story was, oh god, Mercedes are quite bad in 2022 with no side pods. Who would have thought side pods are actually quicker? Safety car in at the end of this lap then. Actually, 2022, fun fact, I can tell you, the only race in 2022 where it wasn't Mercedes, Ferrari and Red Bull on the podium. It's the only one of the top 3 team not on the podium on it. Lando Norris, the only driver to do so in a car that wasn't part of the top 3. Imagine that. So, J-Lane then, when does he pull the trigger? I thought he was going to for a second there, based on how fast he went. The answer is, he'll do it now. And we are racing again, here in Blackout. J-Lane first, Milo in second, but catching up in the slipstream. Dirk third, Magico fourth, King DD fifth, Thanassi in sixth, Stark in seventh. And now things get interesting. It's Wilco, actually, who looks to be on the move against Buck 57. Trying to go around the outside, but soft. Oh, my God! That was incredible. Oh, no! No, Vulcan hasn't avoided him, though. And there's a whole concertina. There's Big Sam slamming into the side of the Haas car of Vulcan. Both cars out on the spot. And despite all of the safety cars we've had in this race, that's the one that doesn't get it. Make it make sense. Terziak pirouetting round at Tamburello. I was going to say it was a miracle, quite frankly, that no one hit him. And then as soon as I was about to say that, Vulcan had no time to react. Stark, meanwhile, with the overtake there, you would have seen it on King Didi, but going suitably wide towards Sicily, quite frankly. And that's not the right racing line. Thanassi, though, up to P5. And so the quest once again for P1 begins. On board with him. Could try and go for a move into the final 2 corners if he's feeling overly optimistic. And he's not. Through the final couple of corners then, soft boots on the Aston Martin. Means he actually catches up a little bit to Magico. But Thanassi, with a great exit, slipstream to his name. Now, no DRS just yet, but he doesn't need it because he is a slipstream, slippery serpent. And he launches his way into P4. Championship leader then. Not hanging about for anyone for 1 second. Big Sam into the bits, obviously, after contact with the Haas. And so the chase continues for this man, Stark. Only 7 tenths behind Magico here. The more time that Thanassi spends behind Dirk, the better for Stark, definitely. Because those softs, I mean, they got to lap number 15, actually, behind the safety car, so the wear on them won't have been that much. And they can make the end of the race now. 100% they can make the end of the race. 8 tours of this track at full speed. It's not out of the question whatsoever. But Stark just needs to get a move on here. No move happening into Ravazza then. Stark feints a move into Ravazza against Magico, but the Red Bull man not scared even slightly. However, that exit has put him all sorts of precarious positions. Stark launches his way through, up into P5. Thanassi still cooped up behind Dirk. Like I said, the longer he's cooped up there, the better. And Stark only has him and fresh air between himself and Thanassi. That'll be the big battle for P1, I have no doubt. Thanassi there in the foreground, launching his way past Dirkleton, up into the podium positions once again. Milo has found another gear, though, and is finding his way up into the DRS range for a brief moment of the Ferrari driver of J-Lane. So let's see what else is happening then. Well, if your name's Stark, you're once again on the move. And actually, it's Wilco that you look to be on the move for a second there. Did manage to displace Buck 57. And look at the exit he gets. Switchbacking at Tosa. And the Aston Martin driver easily dispatches of Magico in that Red Bull. A comfortable move there from the captain as he sails up into P6 now. Aston Martin 5 and 6. That will do their Constructors' Challenge a world of good. Wilco, though, no! A 3-second time penalty. I spoke too soon. Track limits to his name. And now he's got another thing to worry about. Slam also got past Magico and all of that. On the softs as well. A lot of zest happening right now. Meanwhile, it's a three-way fight for the lead. Stark on the back of Dirk. I have no doubt he's going to absolutely fly. And I'm scared I just disconnected, although I don't think everyone took the same line. I'd like to think they didn't. Thanassi's going to easily breeze past Milo, though. And he's going to go past the Ferrari as well. That's not AI. That's a mistake. Thanassi through the gravel. And what should have been a very simple move, he was too optimistic. I haven't disconnected, but Thanassi's synapses certainly did in that moment. Dirty tyres. And Stark, once again, the power is in his hands here. I hate this. I have to wait with bated breath to make sure that when someone leaves, I haven't been completely disconnected from Narnia. So far, that's not the case. Thanassi then has it all to do once again. It's Milo, no, that leads now. Goodness. The McLaren man, the lone McLaren Ranger, is indeed giving it his absolute everything. 110% commitment at every single avenue here. J-Lane will not be forced into a mistake at the chicane, though. Has to make Thanassi bide his time once again here. Thanassi on about half battery. Let's see what everyone else is on. J-Lane on nothing. Milo almost on nothing. Stark almost in DRS range here. Not going to get it on this particular occasion, but he can afford to bide his time at the moment, although time is running out. Only 4 tours of this track left to go. And Thanassi up into P2. Quite easily as it happens, and looking to the outside of Milo once again here, a little bit deep, but he's easily round Milo, up into the lead once again. The championship leader finds his way up into P1. The 2-stop was the way to go, and fantastically, Thanassi has navigated all the way from the midfield, as he did previously in this race, back to the front once again. Well, that was one driver's turn. Now it's Stark's turn to do so. About half battery on his Alfa... I've said it again. I can't be asked. On his Aston Martin. But through mineral water he goes, and he's got to be quite careful with how he uses his battery and how it plays out in the rest of this race here. Wilco's keeping up very well as well, by the way, can I just say. On the medium tyres, he's not messing around for 1 second. Very nice indeed. And Stark, not with the greatest Rivazza corner, Rivazza chicane. As he heads down the hill, though. Still plenty of time for him. I wouldn't worry too much if I was in his position. He will have DRS, and there's every chance Milo and J-Lane do begin to have a scrappe. So let's find out. J-Lane with DRS, and it's going to be a comfortable pass for him. It's not even going to be close with him against Milo. Round the prancing horse goes the Tifosi. Absolutely in raptures right now. I mean, listen to that. You can't even hear them. They're so happy. But Stark with DRS assistance now right on the back of this train. So he's just crept up to the back of them here. Not using too much of his tyres perhaps. And also leaving a little bit of time on the table because he knows that track limits could be a problem here. With only 3 tours to go, the last thing Aston Martin want to do here is if they get better positions, and like Wilco, end up getting track limits penalties, and then they end up being 4th and 5th anyway. So it's about self-preservation on the track limits front, as much as it is about the helicopter camera having an issue. But my God, what an exit that was from Stark, almost getting the jump on Milo there. It's his teammate he's going to have to worry about for a brief moment. Through the chicane, there you go. Lap number 20. Thanassi's lead almost 3 seconds now, by the way. That is rather sumptuous for him, it must be said. For Stark, though, it would be very nice if he could get past Milo in the very near future. And with 3 temps, now 4 temps just being the gap, he can afford to push the battery as much as possible. Milo has nothing left to fight with. Stark can get this here. He's pushing as much as he can, but no. DRS not as effective as usual. It's Milo that's on the move, though. Round the outside of J-Lane, he goes. J-Lane with a bit of a mistake into Tamburello. So Stark, yeah, could have the move. Into the outside he goes. Bit of wheel-to-wheel contact between himself and the Ferrari. Can't find the way past Milo. He's been boxed in, but he is up to P3. Stark with an opportunistic move there, thanks to the mistake of J-Lane. J-Lane, though, trying to go round the outside of Tosa. And that would be a zesty move, wouldn't it? Still alongside. It's not over until it's over now. It's over now. And a big bonk on the rear there for the Ferrari driver. Probably some miscellaneous front wing damage. Nothing he'll have to worry about, but certainly not the way he wanted to get nice and jiggy with Stark. Although the exit out of Aqua Minerale, Stark not exactly capitalising on his soft tyres, or newer tyres for that matter. Although J-Lane now with a 3-second penalty though, so that relieves some of the pressure off of Wilco. He knows if he gets this move done, he can actually have a say in the points he gets in this race. Putting J-Lane under pressure, forcing him to defend, helping out his teammate a little bit as well. Stark with DRS, Milo looking extremely vulnerable. Battery being used by both of them there. A little bit of a brief skip between the two. It's Wilco though that will be on the move. DRS for the Ferrari. Wilco's the one that will try and go for it. And my God, he's used the grass. And I thought for 1 second he was going to try and, oh my goodness me. He does save the car from sailing off into barrier. Opportunistic though. Tried everything. Even used the track, even more of the track than he probably should have done. King Didi with a 3-second time penalty now. That's how you know that everyone's giving it their absolute all to try and get the most amount of points possible here. The AlphaTauri of Buck 57, though, is going to be right on the back of this train before no doubt. And Milo has twitched really badly out of that Piratella corner. I don't mean he has issues. I mean his tyres have issues. Just to be quite clear before you all try and cancel me. Start with a great exit. Once again out of Aqua Minerale. Tries to force Milo to defend, but Milo knows there's no reason. Oh, no! Stark with a time penalty now! I told you track limits would become a problem. And there's the proof. And it's lap 22. That's it. Thanassi has driven out of his skin. And he wins the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. I hardly had time to think about what I was going to say. But a great job for the AlphaTauri man. Milo will claim second unbelievably. And Buck 57 for AlphaTauri will get P3 thanks to the time penalties for Stark, J-Lane and Captain Wilco. Stark probably deserved a podium in the grand scheme of things, but the stewards said no. Slam in P7, Dirk P8, Magico 9th, Raiden 10th, and here come the rest to cross the line. But Thanassi, what an incredible race from him. Found himself in the midfield twice, had to gamble on it, didn't go his way in qualifying, would have hoped to get pole position, didn't get Stark off the line, but when it mattered, he made the moves on the track, tangoed round the opposition, did the whole cha-cha slide once again after the second safety car. And when push comes to shove, Thanassi has done it again in Blackout. Another win for the AlphaTauri ace. It's his second win of the night, and thank God I got to see this one, because I would have been mega raging, to be honest with you. There you go then. There's your podium. Thanassi raises his trophy to the heavens. He's on top of the world here in Emilia-Romagna. Made in Italy. This man made in Greece. Coated in olive oil with a bit of salt and pepper for zest. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. He is your winner again here. Increases his championship lead once again. 2 race wins on the bounce. And it's 33 points. The full complement for Thanassi. He wins at Imola once again in Blackout, just like he did in Season 1. He does it again in Season 2. Milo P2, incredibly on those older tyres. He does the job he needed to do. Buck 57 P3, Stark in P4, only 2 tenths away from a podium. That is utterly heartbreaking. J-Lane in 5th, Wilco in 6th. Still good points for Aston Martin, though. Slam in 7th, Dirk in 8th, Magico 9th, Raiden in 10th. King Didi, Giraffe, Big Sam Terziak in P14, and Vulcan in P15, despite DNFing, are your last point scorers with Maximus and Dan Gilligan the rest of the drivers and the only two to score points in Imola. Or should I say that didn't score points? Because English apparently is a secondary language for me today. But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. It is done. Thank you, Hackett Racing. Thank you very much. I do my best, it must be said. I do my absolute best to provide you with the entertainment, the insight, and all the rest in the Blackout Racing series. But hopefully you enjoyed very much so. Well, that concludes another week of Blackout. Just like that. Feels like it hardly started. Can my computer shut up for 2 seconds, please? It felt like it hardly even started before we're now at the end. That's quite the sad truth about Blackout. When all the fun starts, and when you just got into it, it all disappears again. But luckily, it's just 2 hours, 2.5 hours of pure fun. Or in my case, 1.5, because apparently the first race was a skill issue on my end. Blame my network. It's Virgin Media's fault. I told you. But anyway, there you go. Brief rundown, and then we can all have a lovely rest of our day. So, race 1. Thanassi won it in the end, but it's the sprint that I got to watch the bulk of. In fact, the whole thing of. Until the race decided to shaft me. But in the sprint race, it was, in fact, Stark that did the work. Got the overtakes done, remained cool and collected, calculated what moves to make, when to make them. In the end, that's what won him the sprint race. In an intermediate conditions sprint race, no less. In Texas, he spun the roulette wheel, and it came out Ferrari red. Just like his team last season, which is why he was in such good stead. In the race, though, I didn't get to see most of it, so that's a shame. But in the end, while I saw J-Lane win on track, it was actually Thanassi that won. Again. So that's fun, innit? But what can you say? The man's invincible. The man knows how to wheel his way around a racetrack. You can't deny that for 1 second. And he proved that not only in Texas, but he did so in Imola too. Kind of annoyed, though, about Texas. I didn't get to see Stark make all of those juicy comeback overtakes from the back on those soft tyres to finish 4th in the end. And I am deeply ashamed and disappointed about that. Terziak, though, with P2, J-Lane got P3 in the end, so congratulations to him and to the Ferrari team for getting the prancing horse on the board. Stark, though, remained consistent, it must be said. 2 4th places this week. 1 in Texas and 1 in Imola, albeit a time penalty that just thrust him out of podium contention. Had it not been for that mistake at the chicane, it would have been 100% a certified 3rd place. So there you go. But Thanassi, my God, Thanassi remains ever invincible in Blackout. An absolute trooper and soldier from start to finish. And his raw pace is just phenomenal. I can't lie, it's absolutely outrageous. Although, my plaudits for race 2 go to Milo. They go to Milo, because on old tyres, he managed to just wrestle that McLaren and coax the tyres into the correct window. And when it mattered, he kept his defence up. And it's P2. So it's great points for McLaren still. Being the Lone Ranger, it's all he needed to do. So, all that remains for me to do is say thank you to Blackout for allowing me to commentate. Thank you all very much for watching. I really do appreciate all the support you give my commentaries and Blackout subsequently. Because that is what you're doing by doing this. You're giving Blackout Racing some more exposure. The police said to me that that was illegal, but it's on Twitch, so it's okay. The main thing at the end of the day, though, is that, just to be quite clear, this is a community league. We're here to have fun, first and foremost. So, if you think that this is all very serious and not fun and games, then reassess yourself. Kindly. I'm kidding, of course. But yeah, there you go. And the other formality is, if you want to watch this back, if you want to rewatch this live stream and all the other Blackout live streams that I've done, go to the KarlsCars YouTube channel. Slight plug, but it is my YouTube channel, and also, more to the point, it's where all of the VODs and highlights, therefore, well, you'll have to scroll your way through them to find the highlights, but it's where all of the VODs for this series are. So if you want to go back and check it out, it's in a playlist called Commentary. You can find all of the Blackouts I have ever done, in that playlist. There you go, though. That is all the formalities. All that leaves me to say is thank you to Blackout once again. Thank to you for watching. That wasn't English. Thanks very much for watching, and until next Monday, I'll see you then.